The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 19th day of November, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. It's Friday. Are you ready for the weekend, Sister Sherry?
Yes. Yes, and yes. More
Yes.
than ready.
More than,
More than ready.
more than ready, folks. And I'm going to echo that. I was just talking to someone last night, and they really said they commend the job that we do every day, because I wake up early to watch, but to wake up early enough to do this is a different story. It can be struggle at times. It can be a struggle at times, folks. So yeah, weekends are appreciated, but we love you. We really love you and appreciate you. But weekends are appreciated. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we welcome Bermuda Tourism Authority CEO Charles H. Jeffers II to the show to discuss the state of the industry. The daily play is trip up, Jamal. Sherry's asking the questions.
Oh, I'm got you.
Let's have it. You know, come on. Come on. Let's do it. You know.
Okay.
Think you are. I'm ready. And
you got licks today.
I'm gonna tell you now, and this is for the audience. I don't need your help. You don't need to be helping me. I'm gonna get it. No.
Do you see my auntie laugh?
Hold on. Keep your auntie laugh. Hold on. Let me just. I did go for a walk instead of a jog this morning, because I have, these new sneakers a little tight on my feet. So that if I don't get the answer right, it's because the blood flow just isn't there like usual. So let me just put that out there so that you don't think that I'm not smart enough to get the answer. Cool.
You're not smart enough to get all of these answers. You may get one or two, but I know for a fact.
Yeah, she just
threw one in there that I know you're not gonna get.
All right, but she don't want me to get it. We'll see. I think she may be in for a little shock. Good morning, Karen Simmons. Karen says, good morning, Jamel, Sherry, and Leanna. So look, we have a conversation before our guest comes. We have a conversation to get to. And no excuses. I'm just being honest. I'm being frank, Mr. David Michael Wilson. It's not an excuse. Brother may have a little injury or something. I'm just, to me, it's being more honest and open with you.
You know what you sound like right now? If you was watching last night, you sounded like Shaka Khan. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and Google it, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I guess I will. She wearing lip syncing.
She had a lock in on last night. Her and Stephanie Mills.
Why? Why are you laughing at, Sherry?
I'm laughing at Karen is Team Sherry, just so you know. Karen and I go way back. So Karen is Team Sherry all day, every day. You better let them know, Karen.
She says, oh, please, Jamal, lack of blood flow. And she's laughing at me. But, folks, I'm going to shock you. Injury and all. But let's get to the conversation today. Folks, we have Charles H. Jeffers II, the CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority, backstage. He'll be joining us in a bit. But a question we did speak, we've had a lot of conversations this week. We spoke about tourism, I believe, to start the week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And really just breaking down how tourism works, a bit of information that's not considered when we're talking about tourism numbers, losing our biggest hotel in terms of conferences, events, and rooms. And then now, obviously, after that conversation, we know where we are. We know where we are as far as what we don't have, right? But
Mm-hmm.
now it's time to speak about what we do have and how do we get the best out of what we do have. So today's question is very simple, and this is going to take a community effort. This question's all about us. Based on Bermuda's current situation, how can we attract more groups to the island? So on Monday, we understood that group tourism drives tourism. Groups drive tourism. We get that. We all
Mm-hmm.
agree now. Groups drive tourism. Now, based on our situation, we don't have the big hotel. We don't have Elbow Beach, right? We have some other hotels. We have the St. Regis. We have Grotto Bay. Grotto Bay has a lot of rooms. It just doesn't have necessarily conference and meeting space. But I think they have over 200 rooms, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Based on Bermuda's current situation, how can we attract more groups to the island? That's our question today, folks. What are your thoughts? Based on Bermuda's current situation, how can we attract more groups to the island? That's what's going to get people back to work. That's what's going to, get money into our economy. Groups.
Well, I want I want to say thanks. You probably need to make sure that this is recorded because not too many times I probably thank you. But for explaining just the whole process of tourism, I don't know if everybody else knew that, but thank you for explaining it, at least to me, in regards to how that all works. Now, everyone may not agree with you. However, at the end of the day, we understand the different process. I think appealing, of course, definitely to major companies, in the view of how you're indicating groups need to come to Bermuda, appealing to major top companies of this being of Bermuda being a great incentive for them to come and hold all of their conferences and different things of that nature. We then have to cross a different kind of line in regards to COVID regulations and how that also affects different companies or employees that either choose to do that or not. That's a whole nother conversation, but definitely going out there and networking and definitely getting in with some of those big corporations, I think would be, a great start.
Yeah. I think, that should be the easiest part. I know people we're talking about sports the other day.
Hmm.
Sports, again, it's up. There are a lot of opportunities as far as practices and trainings. I guess you just said something that does play a major role. It's COVID, like vaccine versus non-vaccine.
Hmm.
For instance, if a school team wants to come to train and use Bermuda's grounds, but to get back into the US, everyone needs to be vaccinated, let's just say, and some of the teams not, that could impact maybe groups to Bermuda. As far as corporate and incentive, I think Bermuda is a perfect incentive destination. Incentives, you
Yeah.
don't need a large hotel. An incentive can be as small as, you have a company with 100 people and 40 of them are salespeople. You can treat your top 20 salespeople to an incentive trip to Bermuda. That's
And
a
I'm
good
glad you said that number because my question was going to be to you, what would be a
considered
group
group.
number?
Okay. So in tourism, a group in most destinations is 10 rooms or more. So not people, but rooms. So for instance, if 10 people, but they were two to a room, it's only 5 rooms, that wouldn't be, or in most destinations, that wouldn't be considered a group. So 10 rooms a night plus is considered a group.
Got you. All right, Jamal, shedding some light on things. You good
Oh,
boy.
no, no, no. Look, I'm pretty sure I'm said something already that Charles might correct me on when he gets on. He's not in the audience today; he's backstage, so I'm pretty sure he's taking note. But again, every destination is different because I didn't know that some destinations consider 8 rooms a group, right?
Okay.
So got to keep in mind. That's why I said, some destinations in Bermuda's context, it could have changed, but that's they use that barometer as a place where they're going to give the group discount, for instance.
Okay.
Let's go to
And
some.
so we need like several different TAN groups from different companies. That would be
Well,
awesome.
yeah, confidence organizations. One of the biggest things, right, is association. So Bermuda can literally focus on the DC market. Now, let me go through some markets because this may give even more context. So DC is known as an association market, and I believe Chicago as well. I could be wrong.
Hmm.
The Midwest, like when I worked in tourism, I used to spend a lot of time in the Midwest, like Minneapolis. And people be like, why are you going to Minneapolis for Bermuda? Like, who's what? Well, that's where a lot of the incentive houses were. Now, what is an incentive house? An incentive house is a company that their whole focus is working with bigger, larger companies to help them create incentive programs to take them to destinations to reward their top performers. So those are the people like the third party. So I would go and visit all these incentive houses to get them to put Bermuda on their radar. And this is what we have going on. This is what they can do. So you want to take with you to them itineraries that will be better than other destinations. No, remember we spoke the other day about every destination, not just islands that Bermuda considers regularly, but every destination. So you may be competing against somewhere Colorado Springs or something where they're offering incentives to go skiing, or somewhere in Vermont, right? So incentives
Okay.
are not just like going on jet skis and beach vacations or island destinations. It could be going to Alaska. So it's so much to this. So it's really about Nachika Trot says using partnerships, for example, have guests stay at Grotto Bay, but use the Barkley as the conference location. This is huge, Nachika, because conference conference locations. This is actually a very good comment. Do not have to be on property at hotels, and you
Ah.
also don't need a convention center. I know some people said the other day, "Oh, Bermuda doesn't have one," and yes, does hinder us a bit. But at the end of the day, all you need is conference and meeting space. And when other destinations, they get very creative in terms of conference and meeting space. You can take
Okay.
a restaurant, Sherry. A big, challenge is Bermuda doesn't have that many large indoor spaces, but you can use Cedar Bridge. You can use Barkley. You can use,
Got
if you're
you.
doing outdoor, you can use the forts. Let's go to Chicarena.
Try to align the Bermuda experiences to the core value tenets of some Fortune 500 companies in the US, i.e., teamwork could align to some outdoor activity on the beach.
Mm. Chicarena goes on to say some companies stopped travel pre-COVID, but now there is such an emphasis on an employee engagement and trying to get folks back in buildings and back together. I do think companies might change their view on international travel if it means it can improve their engagement scores. Here's the thing. What's the company name? I don't want to say it wrong again. The billionaire lady the other day, Sherry.
Spanx.
Spanx. I keep calling it something else. I can't remember. But that's a perfect example right there. Now, what she did was something that we I tried to avoid though. So what she did was she gave her employees the tickets to go wherever they want. What we would want to do is convince her to bring them all to Bermuda to make sure they're
hmm
coming to Bermuda. So because that's more beneficial for us having the entire group rather than part of the groups going different places. But that is the incentive. That's what, in my opinion, I'm not going to answer for Charles because he's in that space in Bermuda. But in my opinion, that's where the low hanging fruit would be. But again, I don't know all the rules and laws as far as right now where Bermuda's at with the U.S. in terms of COVID and non-COVID. I just don't know. I
Yeah.
don't. But Bermuda has a lot riding for it. I mean, one of the biggest things that we had working for us is we have U.S. Customs in Bermuda's airport. That may seem like a little thing, but that was huge, right? The fact that the dollar
Mm.
is 1 to 1, that's
Yeah,
huge.
that's huge.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
things that play in Bermuda's favor. There are a lot of things that play in Bermuda's favor. We just have to find a way as a country to understand what group tourism is and how it drives it. And I don't mean to offend people when I say, oh, a picture of a fish sandwich is not going to do it. I'm not saying that, all of the ideas that people come up with are wrong, but I stay in my lane. if you all see, I defer to Sherry when it comes to mental abuse and social issues. I do. That's not my space. I only share information based on my experience in tourism. And the truth is, we need
I
to
think
find
a
a
lot
way.
of times I think a lot of times we're looking at the end goal and not what it takes to get there. So the fish
Correct.
sandwich, yes, is still important, but it's after we do all of this other stuff, all of this other legwork, and get the group to Bermuda to then get a fish sandwich. But the fish sandwich is not going to draw the group to Bermuda. So that
Correct.
will be the difference.
Yeah, I think that's your point now because honestly, like I told you guys the other day, me, man, I used to slap dog and stormers, and seeing people spit them out used to offend me. But then again, you should show someone a picture of a fish sandwich, and they're like, "Ugh, fish between bread." Like I've literally gotten those responses. So again, we have to focus on building the relationships more, and then we'll get to that space of people now understanding the fish sandwich picture. You know,
Right.
Monica Dunstan sharing.
I remember when South P had multiple conventions at a time, staff were cracking back then, and oftentimes my tips were more than my paycheck. Wow.
Yeah, and again, I mean that hotel is so huge. You can have like up to 3, 4, probably 6 or 7, depending on size, different conferences and events at the hotel at one time. Leanna mentioned the other day, and I thought someone in the audience would have brought it up, but of course she pays attention and she was in that space. But State Farm was huge. It was so huge that I remember it being a story in the news when they pulled out. You know,
Wow.
they were huge. Michelle White says spreading out groups is what we is what we sum about before. I'm going to try to understand that. I is what we've done before. I'm going to say yes. Use the larger buildings for conferences. James Birch says there's a lot of empty office space. And see, James, this is a thing. I think the city of Hamilton, if you're talking about office space in the city of Hamilton, one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I
Yeah.
think it's not as busy as a lot of other places. I think it'll be great. Oh, you can have your office, your meeting right here downtown in the city of Hamilton. Cater from one of the local
Look at.
businesses around the area. You know,
Hmm.
Michelle White and Selena M. Simons.
Today, with us all being on Zoom, we have created new groups, provide an avenue for us to reach out to our new groups and unique incentives to the groups that we as public may recommend.
It's interesting though because and write that question down. Let me write that down because I want to ask Charles. Well, remind me to ask Charles because I'm gonna forget and I can't find my board. Um, have virtual meetings impacted group travel? That's a good question. Is there any data or statistics? Thank you for that, Michelle. Selena M. Simon says, I've been overseas to conferences. Keep in mind that whatever location is used, the technology has to be of high quality. Tech teams, excellent equipment and materials. Now, this is important. And I'm going to tell you why. So remember, I mentioned incentive houses that I would go to, right?
Hmm.
One of the You wouldn't believe one of the key questions that would come up at incentive houses was actually, can we bring our own AV people?
An AV meaning,
Audio visual person.
okay,
So AV people, those are the people that set up their rooms for the meetings and so on. That was a huge question. And
really?
obviously, the reason that's a huge question is because when they go to international destinations, what do you need to bring your own AV person? A work permit. And so
Mm,
these things factor into people choosing a destination. Here's another thing. There was a law that if so let's say they're bringing an incentive group. So you got a large company and they're bringing their top 100 people. So what they also do, audience, is they would say, oh, we're going to bring in some entertainment for our incentive this year. Who would that entertainment be? It may be a comedian, Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler at one point could only come and perform, right, if he had a work permit and had a local performing with them. So there's so many things that were, again, I don't know if this still exists. Again,
right.
this is some of the stuff that impacts where groups go. So the question again, folks, I'm giving you as much information as possible based on Bermuda's current situation. How can we attract more groups to the island? Like, what does Bermuda offer? What do you believe Bermuda offers differently than other destinations that you may know of? Because even if you may not be in tourism, you may, as Selena M. Simon said, you may have been to conferences in other spaces.
I think a lot of what needs to be attracted is we definitely need to get our what do I want to call it? When you talk about experiences, when you talk about jet skiing and walking food tours and all of this kind of things that people can do after the conference is over or during the conference, or they take a group time on the Friday or Saturday. But it definitely needs to be more experiences available. Excuse me, to conferences for that to happen, because then that leads to, oh, let me bring my family back as well, because we had this great experience with this great person named Jamal who gave us a great tour.
Speak on it now, girl. Speak on it. Go ahead.
Oh,
Keep going. Keep going. Yeah.
I
There
wore
you go.
my Bermuda full shirt too.
Oh,
So yeah, but that's all I was saying in regards to that, you know.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're onto something. Sean Smith says, my question is, what does Bermuda do better than other destinations? Is it group conferences? That's what I asked Sean. That's what was my question just now. I'm asking the audience, what do you believe we can do better than other destinations? Not based on you working in tourism, but based on people who have been to conferences in other jurisdictions. Crystal Todd's asking, isn't the truth just that Bermuda is not forward looking and not therefore competitive? No, I don't think that's it. I think, again, there are destinations who literally offer nothing. Nothing.
Mm,
They just exist. We're talking about little towns in Texas. That's why I said the other day that it's not so much the destination, but the relationship.
okay.
So again, it's tourism is more than what we think of the destination. It's a lot more to do with relationships. And then again, it could come down to a work permit policy. It can come down to COVID policy in this day and age.
It's more than the end goal.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a
Yeah.
process. Did you try, Cherry?
Bermuda should target college sports teams using the national stadium as there is hockey, football, etc. Couple that with using classroom at the college for in-class sessions.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I,
like that comment, Jamal?
well, I'll tell you why I like it, because I'll never forget in 2014 when I suggested sports tourism, and they told me it wouldn't work. And I believe that it can and will work. And I think sports tourism is very easy to make work. I think it's probably low hanging fruit. That's just me speaking on the outside. Obviously, I don't know what's going on in there. They done very well recently with the golf event, especially the Black Golfers Week. The coverage was great. When I say the coverage was great, one of my colleagues in Palm Beach tourism actually was on LinkedIn liking a lot of the posts, and I didn't even know she knew. But then again, it's a small industry. But that's the kind of stuff that's going to get you, visitors. That's the kind of stuff. Sam Cat Play says raft ups may be sorry, poking the bear, but no, hold on. Raft ups are not a bad idea for companies to do with their people. That's not a bad idea. Honestly, it's not a bad
Mm-mm.
idea, because they can look at that and be like, look, we see them in you got destinations like Croatia and Greece and these places that are doing similar stuff now. So no, it's not. I think what I'm trying to say, folks, is we have to find ways that engage groups. We have to find what are like what's going to be that thing, that key thing that's going to get people to Bermuda in group fashion. And sports is probably the low hanging fruit. Let's go back. Shikarena, Sherry.
Do you need work permits for AV people who actually work for the company as full-time employees?
I think
I
uh
think so.
I think I'll have to ask Charles that, because I know some of the incentive companies, the smaller ones, they would actually have a contractor. They would contract someone, but if they contract someone, yeah, I believe that person does. But again, I'm no expert in terms of knowing that right now. Um, the other half says, that's a great idea. I had never experienced a raft top until I visited Bermuda for Cot Match. And so Nikki Hartman says that. And the truth is, I mean, I'll never forget that experience. One of the friends on that boat that day, he worked at, I want to say, JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley. And he said, look, my company does these kind of corporate meetings all the time. I'd love to suggest Bermuda to them. Just out of that, like I said the other day. Let's bring Liana in before, because she hasn't even, well, she says not met, because usually she'll send a little something. She's not met. Good morning, Lee. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I am great. How are you this morning?
We are good. We are good. What are you? I know you got a suggestion or two. I know you have a suggestion or two.
So yes, what we was talking about before about groups and bringing that, to the island and whatnot. I just think that Bermuda needs more fun activities. And I know we talked about raft ups just now and, those introductions and stuff like that, but, allowing people to explore their ideas when it comes to business just sense and whatnot. I just think that we need to allow people to have that, just allow those ideas to materialize. I think people have great ideas when it comes to group activities, but we don't get a chance to actually see them. And I really believe that we just need to ensure that those ideas, those business senses and those ideas are allowed to come to fruition on the island.
I like that. And I think what is something that the BTA does in terms of, I don't know if they finance new businesses. They have a program or something.
Yeah,
but
along
like,
with the BEDC, and they work in conjunction, right? So, and I'll go back to remember they had an idea to do ATV up in Somerset,
yes.
And that idea was shut down because of noise and noise complaints and whatnot. But it's like those are fun activities that people will be excited to do.
I'm gonna say, what's just telling you all, stop being conservative, get off your, you know what? And but no, she makes a great point. Sometimes we have to get out of our own way. Let's just read these two comments before you go to the news. Teresa, talent TJ Clark says our biggest asset is our people and how our interactions with visitors positively impact our trip. Couple that with giving them a realistic tour, not the standard visitor tour, and it creates memories. It's interesting. I want to share something, but I don't think I can share it publicly. But Talent and I, when I say word for word, we think alike. And I'll just leave it at that. And Teresa and Marie says professional groups that have annual conferences are a good target, but acoustics, proper lighting, and comfortable chairs matter. Excellent catering facilities too. Lee, let's go to the news because Charles is probably a bit trying.
Before we do that, I just want to say I did a Segway tour yesterday up in Dockyard. And when I say it was the best experience ever, you guys got to check out Segway tours. And I'm going to leave it there. Fun
I
ideas
saw that.
like that.
Do you remember a guy named Steve Urkel on Family Matters? I just picture me on a Segway tour, and I'll leave it at that.
Got it.
You both can agree. Exactly. We're not going to let you respond. Over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Jamel and Sherry and TGIF to all of those who are tuned in with us today. I hope you all are having a great start to your day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, earlier this week, Minister of Youth, Culture, and Sport, Dr. Ernest Peets, said that the government were in discussions regarding the launch of a lottery initiative to help boost the proposed national sports strategy policy. Now, figures on funding has not yet been identified, but Dr. Peets said he wishes for the strategy to be implemented over the next 5 years in an effort to build on Flora Duffy's historic Olympic gold medal success and seek to bring out Bermuda's sporting potential. Now, the idea is not a new one, as the policy has been explored previously. However, we spoke with Dr. Peets to find out how he believes the strategy could materialize and what steps would need to be taken to make the idea a reality.
My first introduction to a sports lottery as a concept for funding sport actually occurred last year during my meeting with the national sporting governing bodies at their annual general meeting. Since which, over these last 12 months or so, the conversation has progressed. It's been a bit slow, but the conversation has been moving forward. A sports lottery, of course, didn't make it into this year's throne speech. However, I can say that the concept remains an area of interest for me as well as for our national sporting governing bodies. So what I can say at the moment is that conversations are ongoing. We're a little ways off regarding having concrete actionable plans, but I can say that I am
In other news, last night, government set regulations for indoor dining and large group gatherings and indoor will be relaxed as the number of COVID-19 cases continue to fall. Now, as we know, patrons who wish to dine indoors have had to use a safe key pass in an effort to combat rising cases in the previous outbreak. The safe key was also mandatory for all large group gatherings inside and outside, but restaurants will now be allowed to accept either safe key or a Bermuda issued vaccination certificate. The amendment was made to assist people who might have problems with downloading a safe key, and the change also removed the requirement for safe key at all approved large group gatherings, whether indoors or outdoors. Meanwhile, the introduction of speed cameras needs to come into effect quicker and more effectively. This from Lawrence Scott, who insisted near record levels of road deaths did not amount to a national emergency. But Mr. Scott said that government was treating the situation as a priority and not a major crisis after the death toll on the roads hit 16 so far this year. And Bermuda have been drawn alongside Canada, Jamaica, and host Dominican Republic in Group F for the CONCACAF Women's Under-17 Championships. Now, the draw for the tournament, which is scheduled to take place from April 23rd to May 8th, was conducted in Miami, Florida yesterday. Yesterday's draw added that the remaining top-ranked 16 teams, which have been split across 4 groups, with the top 3 teams in each progressing through to the knockout stages. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 74 and a low near 68 degrees. Today, we'll see early sunny periods with 1 or 2 showers developing towards the evening as high pressure moves off to the northeast. Sunny skies and dry weather persist for a while longer. A few showers then return late tonight into Saturday as a weak cold front approaches from the northwest. Now, it turns rather breezy behind the front for much of the weekend and later turns windy next week as a complex front develops and approaches from the west. That's all for our Daily Hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. But here's a little helpful tip from your favorite community pharmacist. Now, if you have trouble remembering to take your medicines, ask for recommendations. The People's Pharmacist will gladly advise you about what to do if you miss a dose. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
So much, Lee, for that. And, if it's not golf one day, it's Segway another. I'm not going to race you. We're not having a Segway race. I'm not doing
We
that.
need to have a segment. We are adding that to the, Daily Hour games because we're going to have one next year. We got what we say we're doing. We're golfing.
Tennis.
We're going to do some tennis. And now we're adding Segway. And it's ladies versus men. So we're calling you guys
It's on.
out. It's on.
Have a great weekend, Leon. Thanks so
Such
much.
a hater.
See you on Monday.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Lee.
She just wants to beat me, folks. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Charles H. Jeffers, II, CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority. Do not go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors, and not to mention the support stocking.
Karen, Miss Soltis bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
Here's a health food company who meet the vegan food challenge head on. Field Rose proud purveyors of vegan good eats designed to replace the meatiness and cheesiness traditionally bestowed by animal products. From a meat eater's point of view, this is mission impossible. Field Roast has cracked the code, allowing plant proteins to deliver flavors that supersede those of animal origin. Try Field Roast chew slices, tomato cayenne, coconut herb, and original cream. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. He is the CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority, known as the Bta, Charles H. Jeffers II. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi, Charles.
Hi, Sherry. Nice to meet you. I don't think we've ever met, have we?
No, we haven't. Nice to meet you as well.
Lucky both
See
of
how
you.
that was? He was very kind, Jamal.
Oh yeah, he's the kind one in the conversation.
Okay.
I am who I am, Charles. But look, welcome to the show. You've heard us speaking backstage about a lot of stuff. Obviously, you want Bermudians very much involved in the process. But before we get into anything, can you just explain what the mandate of the Bermuda Tourism Authority is? Because I think for people to be able to understand how they can assist and what, where Bermuda is and where Bermuda wants to go, I think it's important that they understand what the actual mandate of the organization is.
Sure. Well, thanks again for having me. It's a pleasure to be back here with you all. So the mandate of the Bermuda Tourism Authority is we are a destination marketing organization, which is to sell and market the destination. And so we are primarily responsible for trying to bring visitors here and be the advocate for the visitor and for the industry. And I say the visitor first because, oftentimes people get confused and think that we are the advocate more for the industry. But I like to say that we are the advocate for the visitor because the visitor really doesn't have a voice without us. And so we work with the industry to make sure that when visitors do come to Bermuda, that they have a great time. And I like to say, I want their experience to be great from the time they consider coming to Bermuda to the time they book, get here, have a great time, and to the time they get back home, that their experience should be flawless.
Indeed. And there you have it, folks. That gives context as to what the organization actually does. And I'll be honest, when I started in tourism, I didn't necessarily understand what destination marketing was. I didn't understand group business and the impact until I went to IMAX. I think I saw it as being a Bermudian that I understood tourism. And without offending anyone, it's just not that easy. With that said, we know group business drives tourism. But can you explain why this is so, to give people a better understanding of why?
Sure. So group business is very important to not just Bermuda, but to most destinations. And here's why. Groups tend to book, year, 2 year, 3 years, sometimes 4 or 5, and sometimes even 10 years out in some destinations. And it's important to have group business on the books because then it gives, as a hotel, it gives you some idea about what the projected business looks like for future years. It gives airlines an opportunity to see, okay, this is what's on the books, and we may need to increase airlift for this time period. But if you're not a group hotel, and we have several in Bermuda that are considered not to be group hotels, it's important for you for group business for you because it creates what's called compression, right? So if, let's say, in Southampton is full, and then they may have a group, they have about 600 rooms, and let's say they have a group that's going to take 400 or 500 rooms. That doesn't leave many rooms for the leisure visitors who are going to come at that hotel. So what are they going to have to do? Look at other hotels in the market. And so that's where group business is so important, because it helps you as a destination to see where are you, what do you have, and where are your holes, so that you can then market and your need periods, so that you can market directly to those time periods.
Oh, cool. And well, I'm glad that you mentioned the Fairmont Southampton, because what is the Bta doing to keep group businesses going despite the closure of Elbow Beach and the Fairmont Southampton?
Yeah. So industry research has told us that group business, and when I say group business, I'm talking more about the association and corporate market, is probably really not going to come back until 2024 in full force. And so, but that doesn't mean we need to wait until 2024 to start marketing and trying to encourage them to come to Bermuda. We need to start that now. I mentioned earlier that group business, tends to book, 2, 3, 4, 5 years out. And so, we're hopeful and that Fairmont Southampton will be back online by 2023. And when they're back online, we want them to be full almost from day one. And so, because as I said, that impacts the rest of the market. And you have hotels like Fairmont Southampton, Hamilton Princess, and other hotels that tend to focus more on group business.
The Fairmont Southampton is definitely a great miss. But what is Bermuda's biggest challenge as a destination right now? And what is the Bdta doing to overcome that?
Yeah. Probably our biggest challenge right now is, you mentioned Fairmont Southampton, but even with Fairmont Southampton, we still don't have enough hotel rooms. In the early 80s and 90s, believe it or not, we had, I think it was over 5,000 hotel rooms, maybe closer to 6,000 hotel rooms. With Fairmont Southampton, if they were open today, we would probably have about 2,300 rooms. And that's not enough. When you look at airlines, or airlines are looking at Bermuda, I should say, they're looking to see, okay, how many beds do you have available for whatever passengers that we can bring visitors to your island. And so that's probably our biggest issue right now is not having enough beds. And people will say, well, Airbnbs are out there. Yes, Airbnbs are a welcome addition to the market, but many of them have gone offline over the last year or two. As you know, the Work from Bermuda program we had over the last year, and so some of those Airbnbs have now transferred to rental properties, and so that has reduced the number of beds that we have available as a destination. And so, what are we doing? We are working with the Bdta, the government, and really and really anybody who will listen and who will help us to try to bring more beds to the destination. Yes, we want Fairmont Southampton back open. Yes, we would love Elbow Beach to be back open. But there are other properties around the island that we would love to see open. I was excited to hear the news earlier this week about Aerial Sands, the redevelopment of that property. For those of you who don't know, Aerial Sands had about 40 rooms when they were open several years ago, or when they closed. And this new development, they're going to have, I think, 139 rooms. And so that's a welcome addition to the market, but we need more. I'm not saying we need to get back up to 5,000, 6,000 rooms, but we need to get more than the 2,200 that we currently have.
Wow. I didn't realize that. I saw that in Aerial Sands as well. What does the Bta need to do to get Bermudians on the side to help Bermuda tourism back on track?
Well, I think first of all, we need to get back to who we are as a destination, as a people. And what do I mean by that? Bermuda was always known for its the people in Bermuda. And I still think we are to a certain extent, but I think, we sort of lost our way over the last few years. And there's a number of reasons why that may have been. But and I won't get into all of those, but I will say this. I think if nothing else, this pandemic has shown us is how important tourism is to the island. And we should be grateful every time a visitor gets off a plane and comes to Bermuda, or comes on a cruise ship and comes to Bermuda, because we need their money. No, I'm not going to be shy about saying that, but we all know that we can't survive as an island by just passing around our money to each other. We need for foreign investment to come, and foreign investment doesn't necessarily mean somebody building a big hotel or bringing an international business, but that foreign investment to me is coming in and just spending the night in a hotel, or eating in a great restaurant, and or taking a taxi and doing the things that we know our visitors enjoy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the audience. Quite a few coming through. Nachika Trot says, has the BTA in conjunction with Skyport offered VIP entry into Bermuda, meaning fast track through immigration and customs? Through immigration and customs. Particular clients would pay for this, similar to what other destinations do. I think Jamaica does it at Montego Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so Skyport does offer that service, and I've actually tried it myself, and it's great. You know, I actually tried it for the first time just the other day. But the unfortunate thing is, I probably really didn't need it because there's not many people coming right now. But you know, when our airport is full, I can see where that service would be a huge benefit. And so yes, the Skyport does offer that. And you know, I'm proud of the relationship that we at the BTA have with both Skyport and the Bermuda Airport Authority, and the Ministry of Transportation, because we work together to ensure that the customer experience is great. As I said, from the time they get to Bermuda through the time they get back home, back home.
Teresa and Marie's asking, what are highlights of BTA's relationship management strategy? Does it include regular visits and meetings with professional organizations?
So yes, we do go to several conferences and build relationships with customers. We also are going to be doing some new things next year, what we call road shows, where we will go to key markets and take Bermuda to them to try to talk to them about Bermuda. But you know, as you always say, Jamel, this is more about relationships than anything in this industry. Our destination, unfortunately, is, while we may think we're special, you know, a lot of people have a lot of choices, and so we have to build relationships. And fortunately, you know, we have some great team members who have relationships with existing clients, and then it's building relationships with new clients. And you know, one of the things that we're also looking at is some emerging markets, right? Because oftentimes, you know, you may look at a market and you say, oh, you know, well, that doesn't really mean anything today. And then, you know, 5-10 years from now, that market is huge, and you've missed out on an opportunity to build a relationship. A perfect example is like with crypto. And I know there's a lot of people who don't really know or understand cryptocurrency. And I can count myself as one of those. But that market there's a lot of people who are very interested in that. And there's a lot of people who are having meetings around that. And so I think, you know, and we are already doing this, trying to bring people in to meet on those things while we can, because they may outgrow Bermuda in several years from now. But while they're growing, we should be trying to get them here to experience Bermuda and hopefully fall in love with Bermuda so that they can then invest in Bermuda as time goes on.
All right. David Michael Wilson, thank you so much for the reminder. One of the questions we had earlier was about Zoom impacting group bookings. Is this something that research shows is happening or will happen?
Yeah, so live attendance at meetings has changed over the last year and a half. But what you're finding now is a lot of meetings are looking at a hybrid model. And so I heard someone say earlier about technology and the importance of it. So, you know, as a destination, we need to be prepared to accommodate those groups who are looking to have a hybrid meeting. And a hybrid meeting, for those of you who don't understand, you may have people meeting in person, and then you may have people meeting online, whether it's Zoom or some other online meeting application. And so, but technology is a key factor in that, and you know, we must be ready for that, because I don't think that's going to go away. It may be reduced, you know, the number of people online, but I think, you know, a lot of groups have realized that, you know, not everyone is going to be able to come to your meeting, and so you must provide a way for people to still attend without being there in person.
Indeed. They either really like you or have a lot of in things that they just don't know. I'm going to go with the former. Nichiko Trot says, what is the relationship between the BTA and the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable David Burke?
Good
Well,
question.
Nikisha, if you saw my phone and the amount of times that we communicate at all hours of the day and night and 7 days a week, I think we have a good relationship. I have a lot of respect for the minister, and as he reminds me all the time, he's the minister responsible for tourism, and with that, he is responsible for tourism policy. We at the BTA are responsible for the sales and marketing, as I mentioned earlier. So, and I know, well, I shouldn't say I know. I'm sure that question came from, the questions around the throne speech and things that were said. And as I said in another interview, I'm not concerned at all about that because we're partners with the government, as we are with partners with the hotel community, with the restaurant community, chamber, and retail outlets. We're here as a partner. We're not here to fight or to have any turf wars with anyone. We're here to partner with whoever is interested in making Bermuda better.
Yeah. Sam Cat Place says, we can keep saying we need beds, but that just continues to be an excuse for not addressing the cost. When I think cost, I think she means value, because cost, comparatively speaking, from my experience, were never an issue when I was in tourism. Value, maybe.
Well, so I think what you're referring to, Jamal, is back to the group business. Group business, cost is not a factor, really. But when you look at leisure visitors, and we need a good mix of both group and leisure visitors for Bermuda to be successful. To some, cost is a factor, and so we have some thoughts that things that we're talking about internally as that hopefully can address some of that. But I don't think cost is a big factor when it comes to group business, but it certainly can be an issue with the leisure visitor. But I do want to say this, and this is basic economics, right? It's about supply and demand. So if we don't have enough supply, then and the demand is up for that, then the cost will be up for that, right? And so I'm not saying we need to have, as I said earlier, I don't think we need to get back to maybe 5,000 or 6,000 rooms, but we certainly need more than the 2,200 that we have with Fairmont Southampton open.
All right. One last question. Shamari Tolbert asking, tourism starts at home, and sadly, most Bermudians don't even know what our tourism product is. If Bermuda is going to succeed, we need all hands on deck. So what is being done to truly inform Bermudians and keep them engaged?
Shamari, I absolutely love that question. And I will say this is not unique to Bermuda. This is something that other destinations have struggled with. And it's something that I've seen addressed in other destinations. And I've actually been in talks with or thrown out some ideas with some local partners that can possibly help to get Bermudians out to see what we have as a destination. So, maybe Jamal, you can invite me back onto the show soon so that we can talk about what those opportunities are. We're not ready to do that yet.
Look forward to it. Honestly, I do, especially the brand study and so on. Talent TJ Clark, final one, I promise you. Have we been able to track the visitor impact from our advertisements at the U.S. Open in New York?
Yeah. So
good question.
We do have our Nielsen tracking that tells us what the impact of that was from a viewership standpoint. One of the things I hope people understand, and I know Talent knows this, marketing is not one of those things where you can just say, okay, here's Bermuda, call this number and book your trip. It doesn't happen that way usually, right? It's about constantly being out there and reminding people that you're an option for them. As I said earlier, there are many options out there, and we want to make sure that Bermuda becomes top of mind for people. And so our presence at the U.S. Open was in a big way to remind people that Bermuda is an option, and especially from New York, it's a very quick option. a lot quicker than going to the Caribbean. And so, we use that as an opportunity to remind people about Bermuda and educate people on where Bermuda is, because it still baffles me that a lot of people have no idea where we are on the map. And so we can use that as an option as an opportunity, to remind people about where we are and that we are an option for them.
Indeed. Thank you so much for that, Charles. And just going to read a comment before you head out. It's too large, so I'll read it on the side. To Shay, who actually, I believe, is director of experience at the Bta. She writes, experiences are often created and customized for groups based on their interests. These curated experiences are often extremely first class, and the people who partake in them have an amazing time and are often so impressed with Bermuda. The key is finding a way to have these same types of experiences available for any visitor coming to Bermuda or local resident on a consistent basis. So we'll wrap it up on that. Charles, before you head out, what do you want to say to Bermudians that feel like we should just give up on tourism?
Well, first of all, we can't afford to. And I say that half jokingly because, people always talk about international business and how, Bermuda is and that's our primary focus right now. I contend that the reason why international business came to Bermuda was because of our tourism product. Bermuda, as we all know, in the 80s and 90s was a great destination for visitors. And the things that made Bermuda attractive to the visitors made Bermuda attractive to the international business community as well. And things like great hotels, great restaurants, shopping, things to do as far as the arts and entertainment. And we've sort of lost our way in that regard. And I think we need to get back to that. And so I'm not saying that we need to ignore international business. I think we can have both. But we need to keep our eye on our tourism product and ensure that we are constantly reinvesting in it and building it back up so that it can be a driver of international business as well.
All right, Charles H. Jeffers II, Bermuda Tourism Authority CEO. Thank you so much for this conversation and look forward to having you back very soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamel. Sherry, it's great to meet you. Great talking to you.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
Have a great day.
You too. All right. If you appreciated the conversation and information with Charles this morning, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these kind of conversations. Very helpful information. We're going to take a quick break and be back because, folks, Sherry's going to try to stump me. And I'm going to show you. She don't know who she's messing with. Do not go anywhere.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security. There's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right. Thanks again to Charles H. Jeffers II from the Bermuda Tourism Authority. Appreciate him making time to come and engage with us this morning. Thanks again to People's Pharmacy Lenders, One Communications, and Medical Health for ensuring we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, I am ready.
How many questions am going to have time to ask?
You can ask 3. Go ahead.
Okay. On the show, Proud Family, what did Penny's mom do for a living?
Ain't nobody watching no show called Proud Family. I'm gonna say she was a nurse, though.
Close, but wrong. She was a veterinarian.
She is a nurse for
That's
animals. I got it. Half points. I'm gonna be you.
okay.
Half points. Half
Okay,
points.
half points. According to Wyclef Jean on the song 911, how tall was the alleged assailant? I need to hear you sing it out loud.
Someone please call 911. I just sang it, lady. Okay. No, that injury I was telling you about earlier, my leg is really
Okay,
affected.
we ain't got time for that.
Okay, so what is it?
Give me a height quickly.
5'10".
5'1". On the
I
show,
said 5'1".
okay, I got one last question.
Mhm.
Okay,
I'm ready.
on the movie The Color Purple, which of the following did Miss Sophia have to fight all of her life? All my life, I had to fight. I had to fight.
Hold on.
She had to fight her daddy, her uncles, and her brothers. Jamal, the talk was so real at the beginning, but no cigar, as they said.
So
All my life, I had to fight.
So I went
I
over
knew
three.
I was gonna get. I knew I was gonna get you with that one. When I saw that question, I said, "Oh, I got this."
So I went over 3. That's what you're telling me?
Mhm.
I don't know why
Can't wait till next week, Friday.
why they have all this fun with, like, I no half points. Sherry got some points the other day. Thank you, Shamari. I ain't never heard no proud family either. Right?
That's okay. That's all right.
I don't know why everybody finds this so funny. Anyway, Sherry, what did you think about today's show? These rude people in the audience.
Another read. I found it very enlightening. It was very good to speak with Charles in regards to, what tourism is about, what it is that we can do as a community, and kind of the ins and out. We always have the end goal, but we're forgetting about the process to get us there. So it was good to learn that.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I always appreciate conversations about tourism because, again, I stay in my lane. Like, I don't know a lot of stuff, and I defer to those who do know. I think with tourism, just because we live in a destination that's everywhere is a tourism destination now. I think to Charles's point, people have options, so we have to understand that just because we love or want to pretend that we love the place that we live in or we were born in or that we believe is a great destination doesn't mean that there are not better destinations. So we have to be smarter and think about what can make our experiences more unique, and also how can we build the relationships or help build the relationships that are going to make us stand out to those people who make the decisions. Sherry, I know you've got a daily inspiration for us.
I do. Happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. And that's from Albert Schweitzer. I would say his last name.
She's 0 for 1 with last names today, folks. She's 0 for 1.
Whatever. Thanks.
Oh, Nicole says, but there's questions. Well, that's my point. You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of questions you asking? Like, thank you. And Sam Cat Plays, don't laugh at me. I'm not here. David
No.
Mike Wilson's asking about you. Do you have a good, bad, and ugly today?
Oh, you definitely put me on this spot, David. But what can I say? For good, it is going to be a short week next week. I'm excited about that. Bad. All the things, of course, that's happening in Bermuda. And then ugly. Have you been following that Zach Stacy
Yes.
story? That is ugly. If you haven't looked into it, it is
Read about it. I would not encourage anyone to view the video because just read about it. It's as bad as people have been making it seem. Yeah.
It's ugly.
Yeah. But anyway, folks, honestly, at least I don't know about Sherry, but I don't like this part of the show. I don't. But that said, it's time. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's. And People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, We appreciate you, at least I do. We love you, at least I do.
You're
And
so
we thank you,
dramatic.
at least I do, for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you for at least 3 days next week. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman, my friends. Please do make it a great and safe weekend. Cheers.
Bye.